Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Dead City video. So I want to talk about episode 2. This trailer does feature some stuff from other episodes as well, but I do imagine, they have a lot of stuff in here that is most likely from episode 2, just because from what we got from the other trailers, a lot of the footage that we've seen so far has been mostly from episode 1. Honestly, that's the one thing that I will say I'm shocked about, is how much of the footage from all the trailers that we've gotten was from episode 1, because episode 1 really did give us a lot of material, and that's what I mean. I really do like the pacing of this. This is something that if they were going to be doing movies, they would basically do. And so the pacing here, much faster. They really are going through a lot of this here, and it does feel like, I don't know, it just feels really epic. So anyways, before we go any further, obviously make sure to be a subscriber if you want to get all my walk-into content like this. And also please be aware that this video will contain spoilers for episode 1 of Dead City. Also, for those wondering about my Fear the Walking Dead mid-season finale review, I have watched the episode. I do know what happens, and yeah, the ending is really crazy. I'm actually very happy with the direction of the episode overall, and I really can't wait for the last 6 episodes, but I do need to sleep, so I can't keep going and going, so I'm gonna sleep for a bit. I have some stuff I gotta do in the morning, but after I'm done all that, obviously I will work on my review, and then I'll do sort of a I guess what to expect from part 2, or I guess the second half of the season, and yeah, we'll talk about that because there's gonna be a lot to talk about with Fear the Walking Dead. So yeah, that's gonna be a little bit later. But let's actually get into the trailer here. So I do just want to go through this shot by shot, and I'll talk about where I do see a lot of this stuff happening. So we have this shot here of Maggie on this rooftop, and you got to remember, you have to sort of look at the outfits as well. I think that's one part about this that does sort of give away when this happens. Like, there's a shot here of Maggie. This is obviously on like a rooftop or something like that. I'm pretty sure that the marshal is also here as well. Do I see this being an episode 2 thing? I mean, it's possible. I do think probably episode 3, if anything. I'm not gonna say episode 2. I think episode 2, if you look at the ending of episode 1, Maggie and Negan were captured. I think they're gonna end up with that new group, and I think basically that they learn a lot more about the Croat. They learn a lot more about New York City, and I think that's what they're probably gonna focus on a lot more in episode 2, is teaching Maggie and Negan the ways that people live in New York City, and teaching them that there's actually people here. There's actually people surviving here still, right? They just sort of live on the rooftops. Because as of now, Maggie and Negan aren't on the rooftops. When we last seen them, they were on the ground, right? And so that person probably saved them, probably took them onto the rooftop. They're going to talk to whoever. I don't think there's a connection to the Croat at all. And so I do see them sort of, teaching our characters like how to zipline, and this is sort of how you survive here in the city, and this is how people have been living for several years now, 10 to 15 years, I'm assuming now at this point, right? So I kind of see that being the next step here. There's probably going to be some other stuff that I'm not expecting, but that's sort of the next step in general that I think we're going to get. We do have this shot of Maggie, and there's obviously one of Negan that is very similar. I actually do think this is from episode 2. So I think this is probably them waking up in this new place. They're going to try and escape, and then they just sort of run into this new group here, and then, yeah, they end up being good, right? We have this shot here of Maggie running around through the streets, and it's kind of hard to tell what she's wearing. I don't think she's wearing that brown leather jacket here, so I actually think this is from later episodes. I'm going to say like episode 5. Like, if I'm being honest, I think this is from way later. Another shot here of the Croat, and yeah, I just really love this villain. Like, I just really like the Croat as a character. I do think the Croat in general is just, he's a really fascinating character. He's someone that is unique to the show, unique to the franchise in general, and I do think that he is very charismatic as a character, and I actually do want to see sort of, his role overall within New York City, because everyone seems to know him, but, like, how does he react when he's around Negan? How does Negan react when he's around the Croat? And just what is that relationship there, going back to the Saviors? I want to learn a lot more there, because obviously the Croat at some point just became super powerful and really has just taken, I guess, leadership over all of New York City. At least it seems like it. Again, there seems to be something here, and I did see that in some of the early reviews where they mentioned that by the time this show ends, it does seem like there's going to be a lot more stuff set up in Dead City, and it feels a lot like the Warriors. And I'm assuming they're referencing the gangs and stuff like that. So there's probably other groups and whatnot. So I just want to know how the Croat fits into all of that, and just what the dynamic is with just who leads everything, and just how does everything work here in New York City. Another shot here of Maggie. This is from way later. I'm assuming that they're going to be saving, obviously, the big walker or the mutated walker for way later, right? So this is probably from like episode 5 or something like that. We have another shot here of the Croat. I mean, this could be from episode 2. This is a very, very general shot. Another one here of Maggie and Negan. I can totally see this being from episode 2 for sure. Like, stuff like this is just going to be them traveling. Again, this is just the stuff that I really like from the show. Just visually, it looks really incredible. It just looks different. It looks refreshed. And yeah, this is just a really cool shot overall. They're not fighting right now. I know there's some shots of Maggie and Negan actually fighting. They're chasing each other. I think Negan is actually chasing Maggie, and he chases her down a zip line or something like that. And then they get into a fight. So I want to know more of the context behind that. But yeah, then we have a shot here of Negan just trying to look cool or whatever. And then we have another shot here of Maggie and Negan on the roof. And I can't wait for this. So there is actually some talk in the trailer of this arena. And so I'm wondering now, is this where the Croat is staying? Is this the Croat's main base? Is this arena? So is that their plan? Is to actually try get inside there and then, I guess take him out and then save Herschel, basically, right? Because you got to remember too, like, that is their goal overall, is they're trying to get Herschel. So once they get Herschel, they're leaving this place. But there's going to be something, I'm assuming, that it's going to happen over the next couple of episodes that keeps them here. Maybe Herschel is still held captive after season 1's over. I don't know. I don't think that's probably going to happen, but you never know, right? Like, that could happen. So it seems like the arena is sort of the big thing here. There's a shot here of Maggie. I believe she's actually saying it here in this scene. She says, like, we have to go and find the Croat or whatever, go to this arena, and then we take him out, kind of thing. We have this shot here of Negan ziplining. And again, I've already talked about this in a previous video, but yeah, just a very cool shot here. I'm assuming he's just going to land on that ledge there, and then they'll just sort of go wherever at that point. It is funny when you see shots like this, because you can totally tell this is in a studio, like, just by the lighting. You can tell there's like a really, really bright light here, and there's a harness, and everything is completely built here. Like, this is inside a stage or on a stage. Like, this is in a studio for sure. We have this shot here of all those walkers outside, and I guess this is actually the arena. And so this is what they're referencing here. I know Maggie and Negan, when they're on the roof, I believe they look down at this here. So that seems to be the goal, but it's just sort of, how do you get inside? And I think the way they get inside the arena is they're likely going to go underground, and then I guess at some point just sort of come back up inside the arena. I think that's where they run into that mutated walker. We have this shot here of the arena, I'm assuming just kind of exploding. When I see shots like this, this just really reminds me of the CDC blowing up in season 1 of The Walking Dead. We have this shot here of Marshall Armstrong. It's kind of hard to say what this really is about here. I mean, he's in a car, he's dressed pretty normally. I don't think he's in New York City. At this point, it seems like he likely left New York City, so he's probably back at his own place there. I mean, we know that Ginny is going to be a part of this show at some point, so maybe Ginny goes with Armstrong back over there to go and see Maggie and Negan. Like, that's possible. I could totally see that. And yeah, speaking of Ginny, we do actually see her here. She shoots a flare gun in the air. I'm not entirely sure of the context to this yet. We have this shot here of Negan. And again, I think this is likely episode 2 here. This shot here of the Croat, and I could see this being from episode 2 as well. Like, a lot of this stuff here, it makes sense that this could be an episode 2 thing. And this shot here of, again, that same group, they have those crazy helmets, but I do think these people here are actually going to be good. Like, I think this is the group that teaches Maggie and Negan all about living in New York City now during the apocalypse, all about ziplining and etc. We have this shot here of Maggie, just looking overall concerned about, stuff, probably missing her son and whatnot. This shot here of Maggie and Negan, Negan at this point is actually pointing at the zip line, and I think this is just before he goes ziplining. And then the last one here, which is of Ginny, and yeah, she shoots the flare gun in the air. So, episode 2 seems to be where I think we're going to learn a lot more about just about how to live in New York City. I think this is where we're going to see Maggie and Negan actually zipline. which is kind of cool. So I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see exactly how that's going to look and how our characters are going to react to that, because we got that at the end, but that was just with that one character. And I will say, I'm not that, down on the fact that that walker wasn't a parkour walker. I think that would have been really cool, but it's also kind of, that's a lot, we still are going to be getting mutated walkers in this series. There's still going to be that element to it. So, that's still going to be there. I'm definitely excited for that, but definitely post all your thoughts down below. What are your predictions for episode 2? Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.